A disturbing development in Iraq. Sunni militants seizing control of some nuclear material. The terrorist group known as ISIS has grabbed 88 pounds of uranium and other nuclear compounds from a lab in Mosul, where Islamic jihadists have taken control of things. New York Congressman Peter King says the prospect of a dirty bomb is cause for alarm, despite attempts by the Obama administration, he says, to play down the danger.
We should be very concerned, and the fact that the government or the administration is trying to pass this off as not being enriched and perhaps not being weapons grade, the fact is it still could be used for a dirty bomb. This is an issue we've had to confront in New York, and that's why the NYPD set up the Secure the Cities program. You get uranium, you get radioactive material, you case it in explosives, in conventional explosives, and the blast will kill many people.
Jim Walsh is an international security associate at the MIT Securities Studies program. Jim, good to see you again. Welcome.
Good to see you, Martha.
So tell me, are you concerned about the acquisition on their part of this material?
I mean, I'm concerned about it as a general problem, not just in Iraq, but elsewhere where there are sensitive nuclear materials. But in this particular case, no, I'm not. The International Atomic Energy Agency has come out and said that this is not a threat to safety or security to proliferation. Remember, Iraq was scoured for sensitive nuclear materials after the first Gulf War, after the second Gulf War. So this 88 pounds of stuff they've got, they really can't do anything with.
We know that ISIS, considers himself a caliphate, essentially, now, and they're spreading across borders. They want to spread across more borders. So the fact that they have accumulated this, along with banks and left weapons and all kinds of things, makes them a frightening force in total, does it not? Absolutely.
When they took over those cities, they were able to break into the banks. Some estimates suggest that they got as much as $480 million. That's a lot to a group that only has 5,000 core fighters. And there's also this problem as they enjoy military victories, they are seizing the weapons of the Iraqi army, in many cases weapons that the U.S. gave to Iraq's army. So I am concerned about that, and I think you're right to say they may not stop here. What happens if they go to other states, Jordan, Lebanon, and others? And so I think it underlines the need to secure nuclear materials everywhere. In this case, though, ironically, uranium is not that radioactive. If they were able to get other materials, which I'm actually not going to name on air here, which is at least theoretically possible, then they would be materials that you could use in a dirty bomb, but not uranium.
We talk a lot about loose nuclear material. There's countries, that we know were given nuclear technology by the doctor who supplied many countries across that whole area.
Right.
As ISIS gains power, what can be done, I guess, to stop them? Because they've got so much money to buy what they want on the black market.
Well, I think the first order of business is that the Iraqi government has to get its act together. There's a bit of the fiddling while Rome burns here. They've got to meet. They've got to get a government. They have to have a government that reaches out to Sunnis to sort of win them back as well as Kurds. And they have to take the fight to the enemy. We can't govern Iraq from here. We can't want it more than the Iraqis. We can help them. Others can help them. But they have to pull their own act together.
Is it too late? I mean, there was the moment when we could have aided in Syria as well. That moment seemed to have passed before this militant group got their hands on a good chunk of Syria as well. Is it too late?
I don't think so. I think there are parts of that army that were well trained and could be reconstituted. Also, what's going to happen is ISIL is going to run into its own problems over time. We've seen this with other al-Qaeda related factions. So what happens is initially, the towns welcome these folks in, and then that honeymoon begins to end as they enforce a very strict and harsh and violent form of Sharia law. And so right now it's a combination of tribesmen, Ba'athist, the old Saddam supporters, Ba'athist, and ISIL. You may see over time that that's a relationship of convenience that begins to fray. Yeah. So if you take the fight to them, they have their own internal problems. Hopefully we can push them back. But this is serious. This is the most serious issue in the Middle East right now.
Wow. Coming from you, that sounds extremely significant. As you point out, you got to have an alternative for people. They will get tired of this group, but they've got to have an alternative government, someone they can turn to for some safety and security. Jim, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Martha.